broke up with my boyfriend, someone I love, someone I have known for over 10 years, because he didn't stand up to misogynistic young men when he was given the opportunity. We had just finished watching Adolescence, a miniseries on Netflix that essentially talks about how boys are being more and more radicalized online, how parents aren't paying attention, and how it's really up to men to help solve this problem because they're surely not going to listen to us. So we were walking to the farmer's market, and right behind us were two boys, probably 13 or 14 years old, and they were saying things like, Trump is the best, what has he ever done? He has more followers online, I don't get why no one would like him. And I was seething because my 6'4", handsome, white privileged boyfriend wasn't saying anything. And so finally I stop, I turn around, and I get right in their face, and I said, he's a rapist. He's a certified rapist. And they go white in the face. Boyfriend, still just standing there, not saying anything. Once the boys get their bearings, they say something like, Trump is my daddy, Trump is your daddy. And I was furious. I had a full-blown crash out. I took my full morning latte and I smashed it on the ground, and I grunted and yelled and walked away. And he's like, what's the matter? You're the matter. Not even the boys so much. Him, because he had an opportunity to stand up against misogyny and he didn't.
Y'all don't realize, and I hope that her boyfriend sees this and he's not hurt or he's not bothered by the commentary that she's saying online, because the first red flag is that she's having commentary about breaking up with her boyfriend in a personal relationship online. But dude, you dodged the biggest headache of your life. You dodged purgatory, torture, and the worst thing ever. When a woman breaks up with you, don't look at it as a bad thing. 99% of the time, it's a good thing, especially if they say something like, you had a chance to stand up to misogyny and you didn't. Especially when it's something like, I yelled at a bunch of people and I expected for you to stand up and crash out as a result of it. Especially when it's something like, we watched a documentary that I had a battery in my back all of a sudden. So when I went to get my latte, now I decided to put myself into a situation that would get us both in trouble. Especially when it comes to inserting yourself into other people's business. And I ain't even got to the point where she's wrong about Trump, but we'll get to that in a second. My point is that sometimes when you let people kick it with you or talk long enough or show themselves, let them. Don't prevent them from being exactly who they are, because it's going to basically save you a lifetime of misery and the biggest headache of your life. Now, the first question that I have to ask is, why were you guys watching this documentary called Adolescence? I'm guessing that's the name of the documentary on Netflix. My algorithm, it doesn't present me with the same stuff that it presents everybody else. So when I go on Netflix, I get really good movies and, stuff that I love to watch and all of that type of stuff. And I don't watch much TV, so I'm very thankful that it's not presenting me with this dumb stuff. But why is y'all algorithm even putting that on there? Or are y'all searching for that and that's what it's starting to recommend you based off of your previous history? I don't let nobody I don't let nobody use my Netflix account because I don't want them messing up my algorithm. You got to use the guest account if you want to use a Netflix account or something like that. That's the first red flag, because people don't realize how influential documentaries, which is really propaganda, is very influential. And a lot of times have you doing stuff that you wouldn't normally do and doing things to people that you wouldn't normally do it to. So y'all got to be careful of the content that you take in and the people that you surround yourself with. And it's funny because she said my 6'4" boyfriend with white privilege, which means that she already looked at you a certain way and she's expecting for you to act a certain way based off of her presentation of what you are and who you are and how you've lived your life in real life. And so you already behind the eight ball and she already looks at you as a certain thing. And I'm also very confused at women that say, where are all the strong liberal men? Well, I tend to think that, and this again is just my personal opinion, that most men that are liberal, not even independent, not conservative, not that vote Republican, so on and so forth, most of those guys tend to have a lot more femininity to them. Real talk. They don't stand up for themselves. They simp out a lot. Her man seemed like he's just an easygoing guy, and so thank God that he didn't turn into super simp and he went out there and crashed out. Because this brings me to my second point. Why would you insert yourself into something that don't have nothing to do with you? I always say this because women say that they want provision and protection as the number one things and the number two things that come along with a relationship. But part of protection is proactively preventing you from doing something that you wouldn't do in the first place. And so he didn't have her trained not to, as a woman, throw your latte on the ground, because that could have turned different. Getting into people's face, especially young kids, because they not taking all of this nonsense. And thank God that the young kids started trolling her again after they paused and they said Trump is your daddy and all of this stuff, because they're not influenced by your little crash out, which you thought was going to change anything. And all you did was mess up the latte, mess up the ground. Now a worker got to come and clean up after you. And you crashed out for no reason, which then brought me to my third point. And then you checked him for watching you put yourself or put them in danger because you can't control how people react to you. So you inserted yourself in somebody else's business. You assumed that he was privileged, which, what the hell is privilege? Like, God blesses us all with different gifts and different talents and, whatever. And so we play our cards accordingly. And it doesn't mean that all white people has not went through something. There's plenty of poor white people. There's plenty of people that had problems. There's plenty of people that had messed up parents. So a lot of things is going on. But, again, inserting yourself and then checking him, like, who you talking to? He played it beautifully. He played it the best ever. And I'm hope that he don't call you, because I hate to see good men's lives ruined by people that don't truly understand how to control themselves. And then she still believe, I don't even think that she probably broke up with him, but let's assume for the sake of conversation, she still believes that she's right, and she jumps online and she tells a story about how her boyfriend, she had to break up with him because he didn't stand up to misogyny, which she lied, because Trump is not a rapist. He's never, ever, ever been that. We all know that Letitia James in New York and Fonnie Willis down in Georgia and Fulton County, and we all know that they was throwing all of these whack charges on him in order to try to prevent him from being president of the United States again, and he's doing a phenomenal job. And that's the thing that really pisses people off. People hate the fact that he's not fumbling, that he's greater than he was in 2017-16, which is insane, because it's like, man, y'all really got the best version of him. He learned so much, and he's executing, and he's winning on every single front. And so I am very, very thankful that I voted for him. If people want to call you misogynistic because you exercised your right to vote and you did not vote the way that they wanted to, especially from the party that says that everybody needs to be tolerating people, but it's only for people that vote like them and for people that think like them. And so they are not open-minded to anybody else's views. And if you run into a woman that just so happens to crash out because she's mad at young boys for actually liking and supporting Trump, then I think that we have bigger problems on our hand than whether or not your boyfriend stood up to him and then tried to crash out and then got his ass beat possibly, or got a lawsuit, or got hurt, or anything. You don't know. But keep doing what y'all doing. Definitely gonna make sure that I link back to the content creator, because it's always the right thing to do regardless of whether I agree with him or not. Thank you for tapping into the Patreon. The best time to join the Patreon is the beginning of the month. Link is in the description of the video. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments.